Hello, welcome back. This is Lecture 2, Week 2, CST 1040, Spreadsheet Applications, South College. Now in this lecture, we're sort of going to do some practical worksheets with some more advanced formula techniques. In the last lecture, we did a warm-up worksheet with some basic formulas, and we also learned some functions such as sum, max, min, average, and count. On this worksheet, we're going to build some more advanced formulas and sort of build on the previous stuff that we've learned. This is a little interest rate worksheet that I've got going on here, and our current rate is 1.25%. And here's our different balances for various accounts over here. And let me zoom in just a little bit here. And there we go. Should be able to see that better. I'll calculate my interest using this interest rate. Now remember, when doing a formula, break it up into 3 steps. Take your formula, break it up into English, then numerically, then Excel terms. In plain English, my interest is the current rate times my balance. Numerically, 1.25% times 2,000. Excel terms would be what? Equals B3 times B7. So in here, I'll type in equals B3 asterisk B7. And I'll go ahead and hit enter, and I should get $25, and I do. I'll put my cursor back up on there, maybe format it a little bit. I'll go back to my home tab in my ribbon, and there's my dollar sign. I'll click on that, and I'll go ahead and copy it down. Whoops, I got a lot of wrong answers over here, didn't I? I got some dashes, I got some values, and some pound signs. Remember, pound signs means that the column's not wide enough. I can go up here and widen my column, and oh wow, it looks like I got 9 million and 12 million. Not really sure how that happened. Let's take a look here. Remember in the last lecture, I showed you how to show your cell formulas? Well, I'm going to do a control accent on my keyboard, and there are my formulas, and you can go down to each cell and see how the formula looks. See how it's color coded? My B3 is blue, my B7 is green, B3 is blue, B7 is green. When I go to the next one, B4 times 3,000, my green cell there. But take a look, B4 has nothing in it, nor does B5. B6 has a word in there, and B7 has B11 has another number, so you're really multiplying 2,000 times 4,500. That's why we're getting all those crazy answers. What's happening here is whenever you copy a formula down, let me double click my cell here to go into edit mode. Whenever I copy a formula down, these row numbers will go to the next row, like B3 will become B4, B7 will become B8. And most of the time you want that, sometimes you don't want that. Well, this is one of those times where you don't want that. Let me hit enter again here, and when I copy it down, I get all the addresses moved. I'll do a control accent again and see how it went to B5, B6, B7, B8. B9, B10, B11, and B12 moving is good. It goes to each balance here, which is a good thing. But I want the B3 to stay put when I copy it down. So I'm going to click back up here and do a control accent. That brings back my answers. And how do we lock the cell down? Now, when you do copy a formula, like we have been doing, that's called relative cell referencing. In other words, the cell curve or the cells move to the next cell. If I copy it down, it goes to row 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. If I copy it across, it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, goes across that way. Sometimes you want to lock it down. Well, this is one of those sometimes. To lock the cell down, we have to do something called absolute cell addressing. Absolute cell referencing is when you make a cell locked down, so when you copy it, it does not move. Now in this case, let me double click my cell here, try to answer this question. Between these two cells, B3 and B7, which one should stay locked down when I copy it down? The B3 address, because I want that to stay put. It's a constant cell, so it's B3 for everybody. So I'm going to click my mouse right here between the B and the 3, and I'm going to hit the F4 key on the keyboard. Now the F4 key puts dollar signs around my address there, equals B3, or equals $B, $3, that locks it down, times B7. Now B7 I do want to move, so I'm not going to absolute that one. That one's going to stay relative. Relative if it moves, absolute for it to be frozen. So I'll hit enter. I still get my $25, and I'll recopy it. Remember, just double click your fill handle, and now I have all my proper amounts in here. If I show my formulas, control accent, notice how B3 stayed put all the way down. B3, 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 and so on. New control accent again, and now I have all the right numbers. Now I do have some extra dollar signs in here, which I really don't need those. I'll just highlight my numbers here and click on my little comma button there, and they go away. I'll go to my total, and basically I just want to add up my balance and my interest. Real simple. What's going to be absolute here? Nothing. I want both cells to move down when I copy it. So 2,000 plus my 25 equals, let's see, I'll point here to my 2,000 plus my $25 and hit enter, and $2,025. I'll copy it down, and voila. I'll fix my numbers here. I'll format them to comma, get rid of those dollar signs there, and my numbers look good. And that's your first intro there into your little introduction into absolute cell referencing. Not a lot of people in the real world know how to do it, and most people don't know about the F4 key. They usually just type in the dollar signs manually. Now we got like 3 or 4 worksheets we're going to do on this topic, and you should get it down pretty good once we get that. Once we get those 3 or 4 worksheets done, I'll go up there and change my interest rate to 1.5%, 1.5, and hit enter. And all my interest goes up, and of course all my totals go up. I'll bring it down to let's see, 1%, and hit enter, and it adjusts again. And that's your little first foray into absolute cell addressing. Now let's do sheet number 2 down here, and this involves more absolute cell referencing. This is a little dealership inventory here. I'll go to my markup, and in plain English, the markup is the cost of the vehicle times the markup percent. So it'd be what? B3 times B7, and that'll give us the amount of the markup, equals B3 times B7. Now notice I haven't absoluted anything, because I want you to see how the mistake that you get again if you forget to absolute something. I'll hit enter, $1,875. I'll copy it down, and look at all those wrong answers there. I'll do a control accent, and look at that, B3, B4, B5, that's no good. See how they're moving down? Okay, so in this formula, which one should be locked down, B3 or B7? Okay, if you said B3, that is correct. B3 should stay locked. So when we do control X and get my numbers back, and I'll double click my cell here, and I'll go to B3, click right there between the B and the 3, hit my F4 key, that locks it down with those 2 dollar signs, and I'll hit enter. I get the same answer obviously, and I'll copy it down, and I'll get rid of my dollar signs there, hit comma, and get rid of my decimals, that's fine. Then my retail. Now my retail, a little bit longer formula, it'll be the cost plus my markup plus my preparation fee. Okay, so we got 3 numbers here I want to add up. It'll be the $12,500 plus the $1,875 plus the $150 up there in B4. So my formula would be what? Let's see, equals B7 plus C7. I'll do equals this plus this plus this. B7 plus C7 plus B4. And which one's going to be locked down or absolute when I copy it down? Okay, if you said B4, that is correct. When you type in this formula here, equals this cell plus this cell plus this cell, and I can hit F4 right here as I'm typing it in, and that'll lock it down with my dollar signs, and I'll hit enter, and I get $14,525, and I'll copy it down. See, the good news is, if I don't absolute something, I get all kinds of crazy answers. So it's, the mistake very well makes itself known. For example, let me hit F4 a bunch of times here and put it back to a regular reference formula here, relative reference formula. And if I copy it down, look at all the crazy answers I get. Okay, you get $50,000 for a prelude, $33,000 for an accord. Obviously not right. I get a value right there. You want to make sure that you absolute it properly. That way your formulas come out right. And get rid of my dollar signs there. Put a comma. Get rid of my decimals, my increase and my decrease decimals. And there is my dealership inventory worksheet. And we can change it now. Let's see, I'll change my markup to 17.5%. So let's see, 17.5 and hit enter. And the markup goes up. I'll change my preparation fee to $250. And everything updates automatically. The biggest thing is knowing when to absolute. It's usually when you have a constant cell with just one number in it, and you're going to copy that formula. Usually the number applies to everything. Like the 250 here applies to every single car. Or maybe like the credit line. Everybody has a $5,000 credit line. Or a bonus amount. Everybody gets the same $100 bonus, which will be on one of our worksheets later on. But yeah, when you have a cell with just a constant number in it, and you want to copy a formula, you always want to think about absolute cell referencing. Let's do another one here. We'll do sheet 3. And this is a commission worksheet. The purpose of this worksheet is to calculate net pay due based on sales and commission, and then taxes, and finally net pay due. And this will involve some absolute cell referencing here. Plain English, our commission will be the commission rate times the sales amount. Let's see here, I'll type in equals B3 times B7. It's that 5% times the 55,000. Now between B3 and B7, which one needs to be absolute? Or locked down when I copy it? The B3. Good deal. So I'll do equals B3, then I can immediately just hit my F4 key. That locks it down with the dollar signs there, times my sales at 55,000. I'll just click it, use the point method there, and B7 stays relative because I want it to move. I'll hit enter, and now I'll copy that down. And there's my different commissions. My taxes, plain English, it'll be the tax rate times my commission amount. So 18% times 22,750. So I'll do equals, and it's B4, that'll be absolute, times my commission amount, C7. And I'll hit enter, $495 in taxes, and I'm copied down. The biggest thing about absolute cell referencing is in the real world, most people don't know that you can do it. They would like type in each formula individually. What they do is they usually don't absolute it and then they copy it down. They realize all the answers are wrong. Then they go into each individual cell and type in the proper formula. They don't know how to absolute it. Option number 2 is people do know how to absolute it, but they don't know about the F4 key. They manually type in the dollar signs. You don't want to do that. It's just extra keystrokes. You can just use the F4 key. Now my net pay is real simple. It'll be the commission minus my taxes. The commission minus my taxes. So it'll be about $2,200, $2,100, somewhere in there. It'd be the 2750 minus the 495 there, and it would be what, C7 minus D7. What would my absolute address be here? Okay, nothing's absolute. Okay, I tried to trick you there. Nothing's absolute because I want them both to move when I copy it down. Just a straight relative reference formula. So I'll do equals C7 minus D7, and I'll hit enter. 2255 looks good. Copy it down, and I've got all my answers. I'll go in and maybe format it a little bit here. Highlight my numbers, hit my dollar sign button, get rid of my decimals. This one over here, this range block of cells over here, what range address is that? C8 through E11. C8 through E11. Hit my comma button, get rid of my decimals, and my worksheet is complete. I can go up here, change my commission rate to 6.5%, change my tax rate to 19%, and everything updates. Notice now I'll do a control accent, and actually I'll sort of do it the long way. I'll go to formulas and hit show formulas, and there's all my formulas, and you can see my relative and my absolute cell referencing here. Absolute stayed B3 all the way down, all the way down, B4 all the way down, and then C7 minus D7 is straight relative reference all the way. So basically you've got two types of cell referencing, absolute and relative. Relative is when the addresses move when you copy it. Absolute is when you lock them down. What key do you use to lock them down? The F4 key. What symbols surround an absolute reference? The dollar signs. Let me get my answers back over here, and we'll go ahead and stop this lecture here, and on lecture 3 we'll warm up with some more absolute cell addressing and do some order of operation techniques.